2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Is my spouse lying to me?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, how's it going?
Dude, it's going good. Life is good.
Glad to hear it, man.
Yeah. What about for you? Is my spouse lying to me?
Life is really good.
Sorry, man. I'm just, doing our technology thing, trying to get this all set up, but I think we're good.
I think we got it. I just had sound coming through two screens, so
yeah.
I think we're set now.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, life's good. Everything's fine. Just bumping along. It's crazy. Christmas season is here. You got all your shopping done?
Oh man, this is the trick. I think I told you this before, but especially for my wife, it doesn't really matter what I get, but if I get the shopping done in November, then it means she was thought about. And I hate to admit this online because she might hear this, even though she never listens to the podcast. I don't have it done yet. So
the best gift you could give her is to get your shopping done early, and you've already failed at that.
I've already failed, but
you're gonna have to make it up to her.
I've got some things in mind. We've kind of been on this kick lately as a family that we kind of want to do fewer like tangible gifts and things and more experiences. Yeah. And so we're trying to put together some cool experiences this year.
Yep. I'm all about that. You just throw the crap away, but you remember the adventures forever. So
I've got a house full of Christmas pasts already.
Yeah, me too. Golly. How many Legos can I buy? Well, let's shift into our topic today. Does that sound good?
Yes, Brannon, there is one thing we need to get to, which is that you still were supposed to be here Wednesday of last week.
That's right. Thank you for holding me accountable.
And not just being here, but you also have a drawing that you still have to draw for.
Yeah, I know. I need to do my drawing. Dang it. I keep forgetting.
We had told our listeners that was going to be last Wednesday, and then they were stuck having to listen to me by myself. So
yes. That's my bad. I had a crazy week last week. So let's do this. I will do that on Wednesday. I promise.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay. Do it on Wednesday. You got to go get all your names again of all the people that made comments here. So
but I will do it Wednesday. Okay, so we're basically talking about knowing if your spouse is lying to you and knowing if your spouse is cheating on you. And it's interesting, Tyler, before we started this episode, our reaction and response, I think, because we work with partners who have been betrayed, oftentimes our work is done in the realm of helping them get grounded and step into their power and not be spinning in the fear cycle. And the things we talk about today very much could trigger the fear cycle. Right?
Yeah, that's the challenge to this question is that there's this weird middle ground of we tell people all the time, like, hey, don't go chase down whether or not your partner is like cheating or lying to you or relapsing or whatever else, because you're just going to drive yourself crazy. And yet there are some things to watch for that would warrant then maybe having to check in on a few things from time to time to make sure that you can make decisions based on as close to reality as possible.
There's a balance between like sticking your head in the sand and just pretending like nothing's going on and that's pure denial when you know there's nothing going on, and then spinning in anxiety and fixating, ruminating, being stuck and spinning and not being able to live your life because you're so caught up in the search and the find and trying to figure it out. And there's a balance between the two, and where you can trust your gut. You can be honest with yourself when you see signs that aren't good. You can get support, and then you can address those things when you see them. Tyler, sometimes in our work, at least, I've been accused of like, what, you're telling me it's not good that I went and checked his phone? And it's like, no, like maybe that was actually exactly what you needed to do. Maybe that wasn't healthy because you've checked it 100 times in the last week, and
it's consuming you, and it's an
consuming
obsession.
you, and it's not helping at this point. So anyways, we could trigger the fear cycle here today. But our intention is to just lay out some signs and some things that are there that we see a lot with partners and spouses that cheat and lie.
Yeah, and I would say that we've got 7 things that we're going to hit today. And what I would say is that if you see 1 or 2 of these things, that may or may not mean something. But if you start to see a combination of these red flags start to add up, then that's something that your gut might start to say, oh, okay, this is making more sense to me. So if we go through this list today and you're like, man, 7 for 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Then maybe your gut's telling you need to check in on something and do something different. If you're like, oh, yeah, that occasionally happens and it's only 1 thing out of 7 on the list, like, okay, that may or may not be a big issue.
I was listening to a podcast this morning, and the title of the podcast was Why People with ADHD Are Good Entrepreneurs. And the guy gave a list of like, characteristics of an entrepreneur with ADHD. And it was like, I was like, whoa, 7 for 7. Like,
That's
dang,
you.
like I can't deny it. He just gave he's like, if you have a lot of piles on your desk, and I could show you like next to me, just like piles.
Me too.
So yeah, like let's not be in denial. If we go through these things and it's like, but Tyler, we laugh about that one. That's funny, right?
Yeah.
But as we go down this, and if it's like we're checking the box for your spouse, this could hit you hard. Because it's like, oh man, like this is really something that I've wanted to pretend like everything is okay, or I've wanted to not address this. But we know that it's better to address the reality of it if it's there, and hopefully this is helpful for you.
All right, let's jump in, Brannon, should we?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first sign that your spouse may be lying to you, and this is probably an obvious one, is your spouse is very protective of their devices.
Yeah. And you can feel that. This isn't just about them like locking it all down and not giving any access to anybody, no matter what. You can also feel that just internally, the way that they react and they respond. If you pick up their phone to move it, and if they get all squirmy and weird, and you can sense that. Why would they be so uncomfortable with you looking at anything on their phone?
Yeah, or if they're sitting in the house and they back themselves into a corner to make sure that they're doing all their technology in a corner facing away from everybody or moving their device away. Again, this in and of itself doesn't have to mean anything, but you can kind of get a gut feel when you start to sense how protective. Now, that could be other factors there. There could be shame over how much they're using it that's making them want to like hide it from you or whatever. But it's that overprotectiveness as well of, we can have boundaries in our relationship and agree not to get on each other's devices. But if I then have to like hover over everything and make sure it's never left out unattended to itself, and they never really give you a chance to even have the potential to check it, even though you're not going to, that can definitely be a red flag.
Yeah, it's just that feeling of like, and it might be infidelity. It could be financial stuff. It could be just embarrassing that like I'm into this weird hobby, that I don't want people to know about.
I have a thing. I just got yelled at this weekend. I was sitting downstairs in my family room. My daughters were in the other room, the kitchen, like doing some baking or something. And I turned on my phone. I turned on a hunting video, and it was like an elk hunting video. And there was like elk calls going through the house. And I had the thought go through my mind, like, I'm going to get such a hard time for this. And I started to turn the volume down so that my girls wouldn't hear it in the kitchen, and they heard it. And they're like, Dad, stop that. That is so creepy. You listen to grown men whispering in the woods, chasing around elk. Like,
that is so cool. Yeah.
I'm like, but I felt that shame of myself, like going like, oh, I better hurry and like mute the sound because I don't want them to like pick on me for my hobby,
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm doing that and I'm actually getting secret and hiding all of the time, at a bare minimum, it's a shame thing, but it might be that there's also secrets or the things that I'm looking at or listening to that or engaged in that would mean I'm lying. Yeah.
My wife has zero issue with like me. I don't hop on her phone much, but I like if I touch it or I open it or she'll hand it to me to like check a map or look something up. And her phone's extremely boring, which I actually am grateful for.
You can appreciate that.
Yeah, that feeling of like she doesn't care. Like there's not a worry in the world, and I think that it goes both ways between her and I. So I would just say if your partner gets the squirm when you get close to their devices, that's a red flag. Should we go to the next one?
You bet.
So they become, this is an obvious one too. They become distant. They become harder to connect to on an intimate level. It's harder to know who they are, what's going on inside of them. You don't feel close to them. That's a sign that your spouse is lying.
It's a lot of times people, especially when it's in the form of like infidelity, but it could be other forms of dishonesty. They'll come into our office and they'll report feeling like there's a wall in the relationship and they can't figure it out. And they're coming in, they're thinking, I must have a problem because I'm hitting this wall and we can't have deeper connection. When in reality, what's happening is there's this subconscious wall that's been built in your partner that's not allowing you to get too close into certain vulnerable areas, mainly because there's that self-protection going on and there's that fear of being discovered or found out or seen. And that gap, you can kind of feel that awkward, I call it the wall. It's like it's an emotional distance that is there that you can't quite seem to break through.
And there's a reason for that. They don't want to be found out. So why would I let you close to me if I don't want to be found out? And it can happen subconsciously and automatic. And I like how you say it just turns into a wall. Like they might not intentionally be like, okay, like I'm going to keep them at an arm's length. But if they have a big secret or something happened recently, they might be like, oh, I just will naturally keep you at an arm's length.
I would say it's not even conscious all the time, like you said, Brannon, because the nature of keeping secrets leads to a pulling away or a distancing or an isolating, even if it's an isolating from the inside out. So I'm still present, I'm still in the house, and the person who's actually doing the lying, they actually are good at lying to themselves too, and oftentimes they don't realize the disconnection they're causing because they're lying to themselves saying, hey, I've got this all figured out. Like what my partner doesn't know doesn't hurt them and I'm still here.
They think they're pulling the wool over the eyes and it's like, nah, it's not really being pulled over. Like you can't
You
hide
can't
it.
compensate for the feeling that's there, the distance in the feeling that comes from having to live a life that's full of hiding. And that is
Yes.
a hard life, to be the one who's always having to hide and lie and change stories and everything else.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this, by the way, is what leads the partner to a lot of we call it crazy making, where, like you said, Tyler, you don't know what's wrong. You just know something's wrong, something's off. And so the way they subtly distance themselves from you can really make you feel crazy. And this is where I would show the still face video in our groups of the baby, and the baby's just like, I want to connect. I'll do anything I can, but there's just not
I'm just
connection
still kind
there
of hitting that.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody's watching or listening, you can go and look up Tronic still face experiment. And that's what Brandon's talking about right now.
Yeah.
So the third one's interesting, Brandon, because it actually kind of goes to the other end of the spectrum of what we just hit, which is, one is emotional distance and pulling away, but the third one is sometimes that there's actually an overcorrection, especially when it comes to like fidelity in marriage. A lot of times people will report that their relationship has suddenly gotten so much better. It's spicier, it's more involved, there's more energy in it. And what's ended up happening is that the person who's been lying or cheating is actually, number one, bringing some of the chemicals that they've now elicited from this like Twitter patient stuff and bringing it back into the relationship. But number two, it's like this inauthentic overcompensation.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm getting flowers every other day from my partner, and they're wanting to be engaged, and they're making sure that they're like always present, and what they're really doing is they're actually making sure that you're not onto them, so that they can continue to have whatever the secrets are that are going on in the background.
Yeah. I remember talking to a client, and this is going to make people's skin crawl a little bit. Just warning. And he would say, yeah, I would go sleep with another woman, and then I would get home like 2 hours early from work, and I would clean the entire house. Like the entire house was spotless. And my wife would come home and be like, and I was talking to her, and she's like, now I hate when he cleans the house. Like I hate it, because I just feel like he did something to hurt me and did something really bad, and he's just trying to overcompensate.
Yeah, it's the classic one is like, that old country song, 2 dozen roses. If I had 2 dozen roses, would it change your mind? And it's like, I go and my partners
hate the roses. If I'm the
I hate roses. The partners hate getting flowers after they know that's been the overcompensation to help the person who's lying manage their own guilt, and to kind of keep the partner off of their trail.
Fake love is self-protection, and it's selfish. And although it might mask as love, it's such a manipulation, and it does massive damage to a relationship. Because you're trying to manipulate the situation. You're trying to keep your spouse happy while you're doing things behind the scenes, which
this is one thing, like you said, if you have secrets or you have an affair or something, and then in the aftermath you're trying to rebuild the relationship, you want to stay in the relationship, this thing here actually causes a lot of problems, because you're now doing things in the relationship that would actually be good for the relationship otherwise.
Right.
So now when you're trying to repair it, and you're doing the good thing now, and you're actually meaning to do the good thing, your partner can't trust that that you're doing it for the right reasons. And so it kind of leaves you in a rock and a hard spot until you can have enough time to rebuild the trust to show that it's sincere.
It's a tough trust rebuild when you do that. So yeah, I want to highlight one thing before we move on: inauthentic overcompensation. And a lot of times the partner can sense, like you can feel that something's off. This is like we talk about No More Mr. Nice Guy all the time. It's the same thing. I am trying so hard, and the partner, if you check in with your gut and how you actually feel, you can be honest with yourself of like, I'm not loving the way they're actually showing up here. I don't feel loved. I don't feel seen. I don't feel listened to. I don't feel empathized with. For reals, I don't feel those things. I can see that they're trying to. I can see they're going through all these motions to show me that they're good and that they're okay, but it just doesn't feel right. And this is where your gut comes into play and your intuition.
You're kind of getting a theme through this. We're going to talk more about the gut through the rest of this episode, but that's a big part of this.
Yeah, and this next one goes right along with that. when number 4 is when you start to see a justification of inappropriate boundaries that your spouse will have. And sometimes the
Especially if the pattern changes a little bit.
yeah. So sometimes the place that a spouse will hide is kind of in plain sight, where they're trying to act like everything's okay. You're seeing their denial, and it's driving you nuts, but they're not owning it themselves. So let me give some examples. um, if I start going to lunch with a coworker, like a woman alone, but I go home and I tell my wife, like, yeah, it was fine. We sat there for 3 hours and laughed and chatted, but like I was helping her with a work thing. Um,
And then it
if
becomes a weekly appointment.
a weekly appointment, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm texting her all day long, but I'm helping her with work stuff. Like, why are you bothering me about this? I'm working, like, this is good. Or I'm helping her with church stuff, or I'm helping her with whatever it might be, but I'm not being honest with myself about my true intention. But I'm trying to show you that I'm being honest, but you see those blurred lines and those inappropriate boundaries start to come into play.
Yeah, especially, and you'll be, especially when it comes to like relationship stuff, it's not that you can't be friendly or kind to other people outside of your marriage, but you've got to have boundaries in place that make sure that there is something different between your current relationship. And this could be a whole other topic, Brian. We don't need to go down this road too far. And these relationships that you have, whether it's with people at church or people at work or whatever else, and it's a lot of times this is a tricky one, because the person who's sliding into a potential affair sometimes doesn't even realize they're doing it. They honestly think they're doing, like, yeah, I'm helping this person, and now I have to go spend a late night talking to them again, or now I need to go to lunch with them every single week, or, I'm really helping out with some training, like work trainings. How many people have had an affair at work that just started with work?
But Tyler, I would challenge that maybe a little bit. In the deepest parts of who they are, if they were to be honest and accountable, they would say, like, yeah, I stayed late at work, but I had a door open. I knew
Inside of me, I knew I was leaving a door
I
open.
knew that maybe something could happen. I flirted just a little bit, and I let that go. But I told myself it's not a big deal. But I kind of knew what I was doing. And that's where, like, when you say someone can just kind of slip into it, it's totally true, but it's death by 1,000 cuts. They slip into it by making a decision and not being honest with themselves first and foremost. And so they don't slip into it. They are dishonest in doing it, right?
Yeah, but I think that's the key, is they're dishonest with self, and that's why we call it denial, is a lot of times you don't recognize your own denial. So it's like you don't stop and pause and go, okay, well, yeah, I did kind of stay for the wrong reason a little bit, even though all I did was work. It's like, no, all I did was work. So
Right.
I'm already lying to myself, and that just cues up the ability to then continue to spread the lie outward from there.
Yep. And a lot of times the spouse watches it and is like, yeah, I'm really concerned. What's happening? I don't like this. And then one step happens, another and another. And it sucks for the spouse, because there's not much they can do to try to stop it, even though they can totally see it from the outside.
And a lot of times they feel like they don't want to be a nag, or they don't want to bring up a concern when it's being presented in such an innocuous kind of, like, hey, look, yeah, we're just helping this person. They happen to come to Sunday dinner every single week now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and we're just being a good friends to them,
Yeah.
when in reality, there's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah. Years ago, I had a client, and they were telling me they were starting an affair, and they were almost in the midst of the affair. And they're like, well, I just did this, and I just sat with them, for a couple hours and at a park, and we just talked, and I was like, you are having an affair. You are choosing to cheat on your spouse, just so that we're clear about that. Like, just so you know, Like that's what you are doing.
But I'm not
Right.
cheating. That's not
Right.
an affair.
Like this is what you are doing, because the way that they were trying to present it to me was like, well, yeah, and it's okay, and this is the reasons why, and I'm so miserable in my marriage, and I was just like, just be clear with what you're choosing and what's going on here, right?
Trying to get them
um
into reality.
yeah, like this is
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
um okay,
Number
you want to do the
five.
next one, Tyler?
Yeah. Number five. You start to have there's a lot of unaccounted for space and time. There is made up space and time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what that means is like, I need to run down from the house to the grocery store to pick up some milk because we're out of milk. And that what usually takes 30 or 40 minutes ends up taking 3 hours.
yeah, yeah.
That's what we mean by made up space and time. I usually get home by 5 o'clock, but now I need to start working late
You
and
start working
somehow,
a lot of overtime.
yeah, I'm working a ton of overtime,
Yep.
even though the paycheck hasn't changed much. And now I'm getting home an hour and a half or 2 hours later than normal.
Yep. Yeah, I told you I had a client that all of a sudden just needed his Sunday drives for his self-care. And so he'd go like 4 hours every Sunday and he'd go meet up with his mistress. That was his Sunday drives, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And that
so
one's even got a lot more kind of like gaslighting to it too, because he's doing it for his self-care in his recovery so that he can get space and time to go and
well,
act
and
out.
Tyler, this is where we kind of come up against it with our clients, because sometimes when we're working with the person who cheated, and we're saying, look, you need to put your self-care a priority. So like going to the gym, going for hikes, and so that takes time.
Yeah.
And it triggers the partner because they're like, ugh, like what are they really doing? I'm really uncomfortable with that.
Yeah. Why does my husband need to, or my wife, either way, need to go to the gym 3 times a week now?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
so that's where all the other parts of recovery and trust building need to be in place, so that, because space is being created, but space is being created for actual good stuff. But when you're first wondering, like, am I being cheated on, and am I being lied to? And all of a sudden, schedules are changing a lot. Big chunks of space and time are being opened where you don't really, like, you're not with them and you don't know what's going on with them. It's not a good sign.
Yeah. This is one of those too, Brandon, that I would also say though, that you want to be careful not to get sucked into fear cycle kinds of things on this one. Like you don't need to like have a tracking software on your partner's device, and you don't need to like have it measured down to the 15-minute interval that you're measuring, and like if they don't get home on time that means da 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 da. Like it.
And but Tyler, coming back to what we said to start the episode, like, you don't need to, and maybe you need to, right? Like if you're feeling all these signs that Tyler and I are talking about, like, it might be a good idea to find my friends on the phone at that point.
I would say that though, Brandon, like if you're going through the list and someone's listening, and not like you with ADHD at 7 for 7, but they're going through and they're like, oh, this is 1 out of 5 so far.
Right.
That's different than if they're like, check, 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 5. Oh crap, 5 is 2. I'm 5 for 5 right now. That's what I mean, is like, okay, now where there's smoke, there might be fire. But
right.
if this is a standalone kind of a thing,
right,
then you're looking for
don't
other
live
red
in the
flags.
fear cycle.
Yeah, you don't want to go chase the fear cycle and then put yourself further into a spot of using all your time and your energy for something that's not going to yield results for you anyway.
Right. And by the way, it's the partner's job to help create safety and trust too. So like, if it's really triggering for them to go to the gym or this or that, what can they do? They need to still be able to go do their self-care and open up space, but what can they do to help you feel safe while they continue to go do that? And somebody who's trustworthy will care about how triggering that is for you and how hard that is, and they'll listen and they'll create a plan with you and not get controlled by you and your fear. So okay, I got another one, and this one's a little,
Number 6.
yeah, this one's a little bit
This is
hard.
intuitive.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, and yet it's so apparent. So this one is like, you can feel from your partner that their soul is unwell. They're resonating in a state of depression, shame, sadness. Something is off. So it's not just that they're disconnected from you, it's like something is broken and you can feel that from them. Somebody with a lot of secrets, that's the recipe to get to that place and to feel that way. And so if you're feeling that from your partner, then there could be a lot of secrets going on.
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking of that Imagine Dragons song Demons. And there's a lyric in there that says, "When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide." Basically saying, "Hey, I can't show you what's inside of me, but there's this thing going." It's like, and I like what you said, Brannon. You use the word, I think, unwell, and I would say you can almost feel and sense the shadow or the sickness
Yeah.
inside of somebody, and a lot of times that comes through not it comes through like their eyes and their way they're showing up in life, and then you can kind of feel that cloud. There's a cloud of unwellness inside of your partner. And a lot of times partners go, man, they must be depressed, or they must, and then of course they are. Like, secrets make us sick.
Yeah.
And so if we're keeping too many secrets, physiologically we start to break down, we start to carry the burdens, we start to shoulder the load, we start to get depressed. And you kind of can sense and feel that. We have this is self-disclosing, but we've taken a family picture almost every year of our marriage since we've been married. We've only missed like 2 or 3 years. And if you go look on the wall at our whole wall of family pictures, you could pretty much pick out the 3 to 5 years when we were in our worst because of my own problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all it is just looking at the countenance of the pictures.
Yep. Yep. It's Ashlyn, every so often on her social media stuff, she'll do a screenshot, a comparison of a time of life at one point and then like how she looks, and and she'll say, like, just look at my face, look at my eyes, like I'm in such a different place here than I was there. And on both pictures she's smiling, or she's trying to smile, and yet you can feel from her the difference there. And so when we say this was a hard one to describe, it might be hard to describe, but it's really pretty obvious when your partner is in that place. And it could be about other things, but usually when they get to that state of resonance, it is about secrecy. So who knows what the secrecy is about? You don't know what you don't know, and that's the problem. But usually it's about secrecy.
Yeah. I think that one, Brannon, is the least tangible, and it might be the most poignant.
And Tyler, from the partner standpoint, this is where we talk about intuition. It comes back into play of like, I can't put my fingerprint on any evidence, any specific thing, but I know something's off. I know something's not working.
And I think this one, Brannon, is important because it's not, I know something's off out of fear, but it's more of like you're actually tuning in with empathy to your partner. Like you're seeing, it's not like, oh, they're lying to me, what's going to be wrong? It's more of like, ooh, there's a great sadness. There's a great heaviness. They're shouldering some kind of a burden or a load, or there's something quite not right with them and they look miserable, or, it's tuning into that, not just from your own fear place, but from an empathetic place can really.
A lot of times, Tyler, when the truth comes out, the partner, isn't excited about that or anything, but they are like, oh, that makes sense.
It makes sense now. I'm not crazy.
I get it. I'm not crazy. The things that I'm noticing and feeling from my partner, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So,
all right, last one, Brannon, number 7. This one actually is a double, so you're kind of getting 8 in 7. There's two D's, and this is probably the most obvious sometimes is that when you're met with either big time defensiveness or distraction every time you start to get close to a certain topic, defensiveness and distraction are often, of course, ways that we self-protect so that people don't see what's underneath it.
Yep. So can I give some examples of defensiveness?
Yeah.
So one is obviously turning the tables. You bring up a topic, you want to talk about something, and next thing you know, you're being attacked because you brought up the topic. That's defensiveness. getting really emotional, using anger. This is a distraction. Using anger, drama with certain topics, that's defensiveness, right?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the person keeping a secret will purposely create a fight in order to then have a reason to go take a timeout and not finish the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. So they can blow it up. So then you can shut it down and then sweep it all under the rug, and you never actually get to what you're trying to get to in the conversation.
Or it'd be something more like the defensiveness would also maybe look something like, I can't believe that you don't trust me anymore. Like, look at da 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 da, and I line out like 3 or 4 things of why you should trust me, even though I've still got this secret.
Yep.
Or, one of the classics that I used to use with distraction was, every time something would come up like, hey, you go get done with work. Hey, how was your day? And she asks, and I'd be like, it was fine. And I know that I've gone and done this and this and this, that I probably should talk to her about it, but I don't really want to. So I just quickly turn it back around and be like, tell me all about your day.
Distraction and omission. Yeah.
If I get her talking for the next like 3 hours, all of a sudden she's into her own world. She's not thinking about anything else. And then I'm like, well, I wasn't dishonest because I didn't really lie. I just never had to have a discussion about the fact that these things probably should have been something we talked about.
Yep. We could go on and on, Tyler. There's so many versions of defensiveness. Like I'm thinking about, when somebody just becomes a wet noodle in their shame, like, hey, I want to talk to you about the finances or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I'm just the worst. I'm horrible. I'm terrible. I'm so sorry. I'll never be what you want me to be. I'm just awful. And it's like, okay, I just want to talk about like actually sorting this out and improving it. And there you are flopping around, unable to have an adult conversation with me here about this. Right. So there's all different forms. They can show up as really, really nice. Like, I'm trying to fix this, trying to make it right, trying to fix it. They can omit, they can create distractions, they can get big, they can turn the tables. Like there's so many ways that they'll defend against whatever it is that you want to talk about.
Well, hopefully this is helpful. People often they're living in so much in the dark and so much fear of what they don't know that hopefully these things are something that can be helpful. Again, just one last reminder: if you're 1 for 7, that's less concerning than if you're shooting 6 out of 7.
Yeah.
And if you're shooting 6 out of 7 or 5 out of 7 right now in your relationship, then maybe it's time to sit down and kind of get grounded and ponder what your next step is going to be. Whether that's some additional boundaries or a new way of approaching a subject with a conversation.
Or maybe going to hire a therapist to help you navigate into what you need to do.
Yeah.
In order to face some hard realities.
Just getting some extra help and support. A lot of times when you're being lied to as well, the world shrinks and it becomes a small place. And one of the best things you can do for yourself is make sure you've got a team to help you keep some perspective.
You guys, thank you for listening. Everyone on YouTube, thank you for your comments and thank you for being here. And until next time, keep on keeping on.